good or bad, either way.
I'll jump in if nobody is. I was pleasantly surprised of how much depth the company has. I didn't know, for example, you guys did your own blacklight units, you did your own molds, your own injection molding. So except for the panels themselves, which is really limited to a handful of companies, and most are not TV companies, you guys are basically cover a lot. Also, I understand you have chip fabrication, chip design. So you're more vertically oriented than all, but I would say, two of the companies in the industry. And so it elevated where you're at in terms of the hierarchy of all the TV makers, as opposed to some other TV makers that basically are ODMs but don't make the subcomponents. They just buy from different people and throw it together in their own way. So that's something that I both think needs to get more communicated to the consumer to start differentiating it, which is a question I'll get into a little later about that, and that they should be aware of. So you're not a, quote, tier 3 brand that just basically puts no bias from this guy, and just puts it together and builds and says, here it is.
That's a good point, because the perception, and from our discussions, that's partly intentional, but the perception in the USA, is that Hisense is a value brand. And seeing especially some of the B2B businesses that you guys are working in and dominating, that was very surprising to me. And also the fact that you're as far into the appliance business as you are, that's obviously a burgeoning category in the U.S., but I didn't realize that you were as established here as you are. So this was a true learning experience in that sense.
I'll open the floor for a few questions. I know you guys all have plenty. So feel free to hop in and ask away. Do you want to start, sir?
Sure. I want to go a little deeper into your smart home efforts. You mentioned when we were here on Monday? I forgot.
Sunday.
I don't know what the hell day of the week it is anymore. That you mentioned that you were working on things, and I'm a little curious about what stages that you were at, where it's going to be introduced, and particularly I'm interested in, and since you are primarily, or at least in the consumer mind, or starting with TV-centric, whether or not you see the TV as the hub of the future smart home, which is where I think Samsung and both LG and Samsung have begun to move.
So this is a question for me, right? Well, I'll try my best because personally I'm a big fan of smart home because I strongly believe in the future, along with the technology advance. So every home will be one way or the other, smarter. So, but Hisense is thinking this in a much bigger way. Actually, we do have our dedicated R&D team. Actually, it's becoming a company now.
What's becoming a company?
It's going to be a smart home. I need to find out the real name, but we do form a dedicated R&D team, also together with a small selling team in China, to develop some product and also try to sell them either to B2B channel or to B2C channel. So the reason I mentioned that is just let you know we are very serious about this and also investing heavily into that.
In what direction, with what goal do you think? I mean, we're talking about products, we're talking about systems, we're talking about founding a new ecosystem that would compete with HomeKit or with Zigbee. I mean, where are we going?
Yeah, you are really asking some tough question to me. But I tell you that we have not two directions, but two area that we are working on. The traditional one is how to link all your electronics, appliances, with the curtain, lighting, security at home, right? This is a lot of people focusing on. The other direction is how to utilize our R&D capability to really make, this smart strategy not only covering the home, also covering industry, to the environment, to the energy saving sector, So this is a much bigger scope. So we are doing two in parallel. For example, we have some project, not that big one, but communicating and working together with the utilities, because we believe in the future, all those appliances, for example, air conditions, refrigerators, some, the heaters, even ovens, a lot of them using electricity. So we want to together develop, start from the so-called smart meter, okay? So this is a meter communicate with the utilities, with the grid, telling you when will be the low and the high, right? At the peak time, maybe 7 o'clock and around that. Everybody turn on the TV, light, and blah, blah. That time will be the most expensive time for electricity, which, you have to pump out a lot of expensive energy. So we want this smart meter can tell us, or whoever, saying what will be the cheaper time for electricity. So we can program a lot of our stuff, like washer, dryer. You just put it in. You don't have to worry. They will turn it on by itself. By doing that, we did rough calculation. Somehow we can save like 100 new power plants in China. So if you can do that, right, then that's a lot of good impact on energy saving, a big reduction on the pollutions, and you name it. The similar idea will be implemented also with traffic control, right? So what we want to do is how to optimize those traffic situations during the rush hour, how we can reduce, those idling time, jam time. Then you also save a lot of gas, reduce a lot of pollution, Another one, but we have our capability here, like we showed you about our transportation control system, security system, and all that. Then also we have mobile phone business, TV business, appliances business. Those are the one also a big part of this strategy. So we expanded into a new idea we call smart city. If we
I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah.
That's what it was sounding like. Panasonic obviously has been very heavily involved in IBM, and a couple of other, some European companies have been very involved in the whole smart city concept. Now, all the stuff that you're addressing, is this simply for the Chinese market, or are you looking to export some of these and compete with things that Panasonic is doing in Japan and what they're doing in Berlin, for instance?
Yeah. So I visited some of their facilities. They are more focused on energy saving part. They have a lot of in Japan, for example, they have a solar system. They have a backup battery system because there are so many earthquakes in Japan. They have to be sure, when this thing happens, they have electricity, available. And so we are focusing on different points. Because in Japan, it's already fully developed country. They have a lot of technologies. In China, we have we are still call ourselves a developing country. There are so many things we need to take care of first, right? Instead of luxury part. So we want to really do a lot of work focusing on energy and environment and safety part. So this is something we can really get into that. In China, for example, as I've said, we already got 60 to 70% market share on transportation control. And this is by far the biggest player now. This is the big advantage because with all the systems, the software platform, we build into a lot of cities. So it's much easier for us to work closely with the local government to expand this scope to the energy section, to the environment protection section, right? So as you said, we also have some idea, or it's also in the lab. Even at home, You know, we think TV can be a real server or real like a window for everything. You know, I want our R&D to present something later on, maybe next visit of you guys. Going, you know, into your home, the TV can turn on, right, automatically when they recognize you are the owner of this house. If you are not, maybe they will put an alarm on, okay? They will recognize everybody's phone, you know who you are. And then maybe even in different rooms, they can recognize if it's the room for your daughter, her phone will be connected. All those YouTube, you know, those personal communication gigs, you know, can be on based on the requirement, right? Maybe at family room, this TV will be the key server, right? Will show you, for example, what kind of utility situation now should you turn on your, you know, heater or prepare some like hot water for you, and also how many things happen when you are not home, right? And also tell you what whoever, you know, knocked the door or called you, all those information which you have to dig individually before, but now they can, you know, push a button and show you all those activities. So also later on, we want them to have a smarter controller. You know, when you are on the way to home, for example, you already know what should be on. You know, for example, air conditioning is a big energy consumption or consumer. You know, consume a lot of energies. Based on your home situation, including the insulation and all that, you can turn it on 2-3 hours before you are home, which may be 3 o'clock in the afternoon, where it's the same effect. Your room is already cooled down, then when your family are home, the room temperature already at the right level, but save you a lot of energy. All those like smart decisions can be made through a TV. So I would say this not dream, you know, this situation can come matter of years, you know, because all the technologies are already there. The only thing we believe need a special effort is the standard. You know, this is I don't know about the U.S., but in China, you know, we have a lot of competitors also. Everybody wants to make their own standard. Mm-hmm. But it's not going to work eventually because people have to follow the same rule to develop their technology based on the same platform. Otherwise, our TV cannot recognize Apple's, you know, or their TV cannot recognize Hisense. So I think the government is working on that. It is just a matter of time. So
is there going to be a need either here or even worldwide, sort of like a parallel to what the U.S. did with the Grand Alliance, to get all of, for HGTV, to get all of these competing companies together and sit them all down, lock them in a room essentially, and go, okay, Hisense, you're going to work on the software. Higher, you're going to work on the application protocols, and you know all these companies are going to be assigned certain jobs that we're going to work toward one standard. I mean, how does that get solved? Is there enough autocratic control in the government that the government can say to you, all of you guys, and essentially figure it out?
Well, this is the way, you know, China is a big country, and also we have a huge amount of potential consumers, right? So it has a big economic impact on those kind of standard making, right? So in general, government will be the leader to organize some sizable and reputable company, no matter it's on the mobile phone side or appliances side. So we do have this kind of committee now in the forming.
I'm sure you have a committee.
This kind of committee is under development, not finalized.
In the government?
Yeah, they have been doing that. Just like mobile phone system, right? You have what they call CDMAs, you have GSM. China also have our own called WCDM. Yeah, because they have to adopt some of the local rules, combining some of the international standard, right? So this is, I would say, it's going to happen because it's a good thing for everybody, you know. save resource, to create better benefit to every end users.
Well, how exportable is it? In other words, is Hisense or is whatever standard you guys come up with, is that something that can be exportable?
Yeah, we do have our platform now already, but it's for example, based on the Android or Linux system, but there are sections that we leave it open. At this moment we are using our own kind of standard to adopt all in our own.
Within your own,
Yeah.
within your own.
However,
your own-
whenever the standard is going to be forced implemented, we can really change them quickly to be able to communicate with other devices or other,
I think what you'll see is we're trying not to put the cart before the horse.
Right.
We're lucky to be in a market such as China where we can implement and try things on scale and reach a large market and refine it. And also the Chinese people are very willing to try new things, especially from trusted companies. Robert and I were talking earlier about the remotes in China. As you'll notice, they're smaller and they don't have number buttons on them. And we tried to bring that to the U.S. and people were very resistant, and we had to go back to the remote with the number in it. So I think that just kind of demonstrates the difference in the way people approach new things. And what we're trying to do with this smart home, smart city is make it bigger and get something in place and refine it here before we push it out further. We don't want it to be half-baked.
Days ago,
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are going to be very, very nervous about Internet of Things and smart home and connected devices. And I guess there is a question: what are you doing to, how do you, what kind of security can you put in place? How can you assure the consumer that their everything, their home, their locks on their door will be secure?
Well, I think again, those are the solutions that can be provided later on with the new technology, right? I saw some from this U.S. company making a lot of rechargeable solar energy-driven batteries, putting at home. So probably that's the solution for the backup system in the future, right? Mm-hmm. At this moment, we don't have that kind of project on that, but we believe along with the system, getting matured, those are probably has to be part of the solution, for any of this kind of system.
Yeah, and that's another reason not to put the cart before the horse. There's no point in rushing to release something out into the public if we're not sure it's fully baked and secure. And I think, if anything, the incidents on the East Coast are more justifications for that. There's no point in having something connected in your home if it's not fully thought out as to the reason why it should be connected and the bigger thing that it's offering and its safety. And it's just kind of evidence that we can't rush things into
Right,
market.
this industry has a track record, a history, 3D television or whatever.
Yeah.
They just named, cascades, all things that are pushed out too soon and never had a chance to develop.
A quick comment on smart platforms. For televisions in particular, a lot of people expect that if you're going to use those services, there is some tracking involved. You have to be able to know what they want or what button they push and things like that. Some companies, though, other companies weren't as forthcoming about how exactly that information was collected and how it was being used. Was it anonymized properly, or is it being stored for a limited period of time, or is it in some way? Generally speaking, when large databases are collected, at some point it is broken and that information gets distributed, and suddenly you've got yet another password and email account that's compromised. So, as long as you can make it clear to the end user that we do have to collect this information to provide the experience, but at the same point, just let them know that we're stripping out your most personal. We're not going to have your name associated with it per se, but we'll know that device is doing it maybe within the house, and that goes a long way, I think, toward helping people accept the fact that in order to have that interactive experience, it requires some two-way without it being so much. On the manufacturing side, I was impressed by the objective and subjective side of the setup and testing of the display systems, including that environmental testing too. That was pretty amazing. That you guys subject your your best components to horrible conditions to see how they perform, and that was great.
Yeah, we went in one of the boxes that we put the TVs in to test, and
140 degrees.
everybody left really fast.
90% humidity.
Well, we do a lot of crazy things. Actually, even we have our own energy plant, collecting all the this dirty stuff, like sewage water and also heating. So this is a plant actually regenerate everything to provide the cooling and heating on that. In the meantime, separate all those waste. So those are also the tests. We are not only the test. This is a real business now. Running for some of our realistic development. So it is another part of the total strategy. The goal has to be high, right? It's not only make our TV better. We want to really, as a responsible company, we do a lot of things as a social activity supporter. I tell you one thing. We've just moved our old R&D from nearby place to the new one, the one you saw, right? This part of the land is going to be very valuable, because it's right in the middle of the city. But the company, the board actually decided not to do any like a housing project. Instead, we are building a new elementary school, and we are building a museum that will really get people to see part of the history from the city, and there will be another plan maybe for either elder care or a hospital. So those are the way we think we made a lot of growth in this city, and we need to find a way to pay back, right? That's also part of the actions we are really taking.
I had a question about your revenue. What part of your revenue comes from China, and what part from overseas?
Yeah, still more than almost 80% came from China. We are a $17 billion business, including two public traded companies, one called Hisense Electric, the other one called Hisense Kilo. One for TV and the other one for appliances. So the internal, the domestic business is about 14 billion. The overseas is about 3 billion, based on last year's data. However, the international part is about 25 to 30% growth every year. So we are expecting 5 years later, it's going to be half-half. Say domestic now is 14, maybe they will come to 18, because China market is so concentrated, and also any 1% of market share you want to gain, it's a lot of money and also a lot of work. However, internationally, we are only 2.5% market share.
In what? 2.5% in TV?
In TV. China, we got like 4.5 as a global base, right? So this is something Roland has the latest number that he can provide. But my point is, outside of China, we are still small, but we are growing fast. So that's going to give Hisense a real good balance. We have to be a global company. Otherwise, you have even difficulty to survive in the long run. As I mentioned to Gary, TV is a tough business. Technology advances so quickly. We have to change the panel and chips almost every year, sometimes even 6 months. Why? Because they will tell you this panel will discontinue. You have to change. Give you 3 months or maybe maximum 6 months. You have to figure out how to use a new panel. Appliances is not the case. Some of the refrigerator, if it's good design, you can use the same design for 5 years, 6, 8 years, depending on what kind of model you are. So that's a big challenge. However, we think this is also a great business that pushing the company very, very concentrated on technology. If you are half year behind others, it might be a disaster. So that's why you see not a lot of companies has R&D like us. Not all the companies are putting mainly we call technology driven. So by working in this tough environment, it pushes us also to be strong, right? So with a lot of new technology we got, we can implement not only on TV, but also on other things. So it become a healthy cycle.
So which are your overseas strongest market segments?
Oh, go ahead.
Well, we are focusing on two main regions, North America and Europe. Why is that? We are so successful in South Africa and Australia. One, we already got the number one market share in unit, in South Africa. Number two, on refrigerators. I don't know, it could be number one very soon, right? Australia, we are in similar situation, solid number two on TV already. Occasionally, in certain months, we are even bigger, than the SS, those kind of competitors. But no matter how successful we can be, in those kind of countries, you cannot call yourself a global brand. We have to be successful to become a real brand in United States, in North America, and also in Europe. So that's really the focus point that we are growing. US is in a good condition already. You can look at the what they call it, display search and all NPD data, then you see. And Europe, we are turning around, recently, especially through the Euro Cup sponsorship, right? This is a very promising market. For example, if you go to Paris, you go to those very high-end, shopping store or the electronic stores, you will see Hisense product there really here too, You can see big side-by-side refrigerator, big size ULED. So that gave us a lot of confidence that we, have the chance to become a real brand by providing the best quality product with a new technology, but at a reasonable price.
I want to put Roland on the hot seat for a second. He saw it coming. So Roland is, along with Dr. Lin, responsible for helping the brand grow internationally, and he's director of brand marketing and has just returned to Hisense after a brief hiatus where he was at Xiaomi. Perhaps...
Well, this has to be off the record, okay?
Oh,
we are
yes,
not here
yeah.
talking about other guys today.
Yeah, well, what I wanted to say was that I'd love for Roland to give us a few words about how he, wants to join, to deliver the brand message globally as well in the U.S. and Europe. Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. But as you know, those are the key elements that you have to be good, Otherwise, you may spend so much time, money on brand building, but this side, poor service, screwed up everything.
Among the few criticisms I've seen online regarding consumer, posting a review of a product, of a Hisense product, it was the customer service aspects and going, say, 6 months and further back. And I just say it's good to hear you focusing on that aspect of it.
Actually, personally, I have been on those websites. Occasionally, I saw some negative comments, but still staying there, and I want them to dig out why. A lot of situations, it's like not from our TV, you have a service one, refurbished one, some certain channels sold them back to those major, I don't want to mention the name. So we have to clean up that, it's not the TV we are selling, refurbished.
Are you talking about the total revenue for the company?
No, only overseas.
Oh, overseas.
As I said, 13 years in a row they have been number one, the biggest player here. So, but we are running, in 7 years, we came from 500 million total, to 3 billion. That's, 500 million.
500 or 50?
500 million total, including appliances and all others.
Okay.
The TV business came very small. So, but put it this way, 7 years ago, 500 million US dollars export, 3 billion last year. And during this process, we also grow from a side business to a real big one, So So 7 years really we saw the change from supply chain, the factory, R&D. They shift the focus and to pay much more attention now than 7 years ago. The other factor I can tell you, 7 years ago, $500 million sales overseas, only 50 million for our own brand. That's the number, yeah. I keep getting
Oh,
the
yeah.
10%.
Just 50 million on your own brand, so you're.
Oh, yeah.
10% of our total sales on brand. Very low end, by the way. Yeah.
OPP.
Now, by end of last year, $3 billion, we got 57% our own brand in revenue. This is not only the unit. So basically, you can see from 500 million to 3 billion, from 10% now to 57%. That's the change. You know?
57 or 67?
57.
57?
57, yeah. So when you really start building your own brand, you want your brand not to be the brand in the corner. You know, people really didn't pay attention on brand, just see the price. Is it the price? Okay, I take it. So that's the tough job, you know, Roland just mentioned. You may see you can only see maybe we increase a lot, you know, investment on sponsorship, Australia Open, Euro Cup, Formula One, but this is only a small part of it. You have to do a lot of things, including, you know, convince our channels, the retailers, why you need to pick us. In the meantime, we need to do a lot of work through above the line, below the line, convince the consumers, you know, why this is a trustworthy brand. But the most difficult one is convince our own people to really pay attention to the overseas market. If you were like a manager here running China market, you are happy, you know. Market number one, profitable, you know, respectable, blah, blah. Over there, you see a customer, well, they don't even know who you are, you know. So how to get them to support us, that's the big job, you know. There are so many stories around that, but gradually, you know, people thinking, as I just mentioned, to be a real brand outside of China is the must-to-do thing, you know. Otherwise, no matter how great you are in China, one day you may not be able to survive, because this market, you know, it's very concentrated, but also very isolated. You have to become a real one. And when we become like a half-half, I can sleep much better than now. Because you are really globalized, and also your brand, your technology can be implemented, you know, much effectively worldwide, right? That's really the key point you asked, you know. We now, for example, have some big orders. Sometimes domestic even support us by reducing their volume, by putting resource to us first. Because now they thought, if we cannot support this young brother, I may not be an old brother for too long, you know.
If I may expand on this, without you revealing corporate secrets.
Yeah.
So, the way I see your company is you've done the first things to establish a real television company. You brought in industry experts, veterans from the United States to run the U.S. operation. You're now expanding the line and have the products. Now you have all the categories. You've got the warehouse, you've got regional, you've got Amazon, you've national, so you're covering all the bases. What still has to come, the two questions I have is, when does the company plan to step up to the plate with branding, marketing, and advertising to tell and inform the American consumer that this is a real brand that has a real customer service, real quality products, and real everything? Is that a 2017 thing, a 2018? Could you give us a little bit of insight as to where you're going, and at the same time, where do you see the positioning of Hisense in the market? We know you don't want to be the traditional Chinese manufacturer of the opening price point product, because there's no profit in it, and they all came and go, and we had Conca, and we had other companies, and we have TCL now, and none of them ever succeed. They'll sell that little thing, they'll be you know, the Black Friday thing, it'll sell some potato loads, and that's it. So I know you don't want to be there.
No.
So do you want to try, in other words, is there a plan to, for example, I'll use Toshiba as an example. Toshiba wasn't a opening price point or leader Japanese brand. It had good engineering and was competitive and innovative, but it wasn't up to the Sony at the time, but people still knew the brand, they got to know it, they trusted it, and it sort of like served in the middle. Or you tried to initially start to go up after the LGs and the Samsungs? In other words, could you give us some insight into the plan and the timeline and what you want to do?
Well, this is also a very good question. I will try my best.
And if you want Mark and Jerry to weigh in too, we can also arrange that after the fact.
Yeah, this is fine.
You're the guy in charge.
Because I have to be careful because you guys are, have all your freedom to say anything. I have a lot of customers to.
That's why I prefaced it. You can tell me I understand some things are secret.
This is fine. I tell you anything about our own strategy. This is also the same way we share with a lot of partners. Start from China market. This is a big advantage to Hisense that we are a very strong brand and we are very profitable in this market through the high quality, the new technology offering. So if you read some article here, this is the year that Hisense will be bigger than Samsung in China on the revenues, 50-inch and above. This is a very key point. This is a big achievement that I think they have been dreaming of. Because usually we always say we have a big market share, 18% in revenue. But if you classify those ones, you find those big names, Samsung, LG, or Sony, Sonic, they occupy a high end section. A lot of us are in the middle and the low side. This is the first year, 55-inch and above. The total revenue market share, the first time we are bigger than the other. Bigger than anybody, That's the real achievement. With this kind of things happening here, we feel much more confident that, we can achieve the similar situation one after another, region or countries, So how you get there, again, you have to treat your brand like your baby. You need to take care of it. Very easy, you can sell a Hisense brand at $150 a TV. The meantime, you put like a 3,000 Hisense TV there. You are not doing the right job taking care of that, right? So my point is, even if we are selling 32-inch, this 32-inch has to be different from many other brands. It has to be with the right feature, with a good design, and nice looking. That's the way you really bring your brand image to the right level. That's the difficulty. That's a lot of work we have to do. But since we already achieved similar goals, in China, in Australia, in South Africa, now I think we show a very, very good signs in Paris, in France, and also in Japan even, So that's the confidence came from that we must be, or we are able to be successful in United States, in Mexico, and also in Canada. By the way, we already got 10% market share in revenue in Mexico, as within like 3 years. That's an amazing job they did. So again, I want to emphasize to become a global brand. It takes time, but you have to insist. You have to keep doing that. That's the difficult part. Sometimes you have to reject some kind of like big order but very low price. And certain countries, sometimes the government has some program saying, hey, I give you 2 million units, okay, meet this price. We usually don't do that. Because you get older, you even make money, but this kind of deal or orders destroyed a lot of your effort, on the marketing, on the brand side. You need to be long-term thinking.
You talk about the U.S. market and the European market is the most important for Hisense. Which is the third one?
Well, third one, we are also, like we have been quite successful in developing countries like in Middle East and also Africa, right? Those are the one consumers actually trust Hisense brand better or earlier than those developed countries because so many big names, in those markets. Samsung occupied, 30-something% market share globally. But on the developed country, this percentage is much higher than that, right? It's so I think it's positive or negative, Positive wise that we believe this is a market eventually need to be balanced. You cannot have only one or two players manipulate or what they call occupy the too big of market share, right? Since we are the brand with the technology, so we think we should get part of this share, as a balance factor. And secondly, those key countries that we are shooting for, we call millennials, right? Those young people that they are not so brand, sensitive, but they want the state-of-art latest technology that they can use. This gave us another chance.
So you talk about the millennials. You have special plans for gamers, for video gaming market, streaming video games, the TV.
Definitely.
Okay.
Those are the things I cannot not talk too much. But this market, and also VR, AR, those things. I think whoever, as a TV maker, they will put a lot of research into that.
Yeah, I think actually, just to flag one thing though, especially regards to gaming, the H8 is particularly well suited for gaming. It has an incredibly low latency time. What is it? It's
31.7 on the 50H8 and 32.7 on the 55H8.
And then I think the industry standard is
Around 50 is very good, so
Yeah.
the lower the number, the better. So we stand very well in the market.
Yeah, so we're really pleased to see that, and we're also really pleased to see, especially when we announced our expanding H8 lineup a few weeks ago, that so many people wrote back and told us how they're using our TVs for gaming, especially the H8, and that we're pleased. So I think keep an eye out for what we plan in the future, but we certainly want to encourage that because the gaming market is a huge market.
I have two things to say. Oh, I'm sorry. The first thing has to do with what you brought up, the research and develop the R&D. We were there that first day of the tour. I just want to mention that there was a TV we all loved. It had a wooden border, wooden frame, and it was white, and it was very retro, and we were disappointed to learn that it was not going forward. And somebody at the top said no. So
You're at the top.
No, I think you're talking about those like classic.
Yes, with the dial.
Yeah.
With the dial.
Yeah. This is one. We call the limited edition, right? Usually during like 50 years anniversary, 60 years, right? And it's not going to say it's not going to continue or not. It's a matter of as a business, you cannot only sell 100 units of that, right? Other than if you are talking about 100-inch TV. So we think we'll release some of those special stuff during the big event. If we are in next Eurocup, if we are in Olympic, or I don't know. This is just kind of imagination. Of course, we can do that. I show you those like limited edition refrigerator during the Eurocup. A very good seller, very good seller. They sold like 10,000 above during that time period, But after that, nobody buy it anymore because big sign of Euro stuff, and that's the thing. But we encourage those like industrial design center continue providing some good ideas. maybe 10 or 2 out of 10 will be taken, but 8 out of 10 will be killed. Because you cannot really develop too many models, too many things. But I like that one myself. Because I
The whole, just the wood idea in a TV would be so different in the marketplace, and if you came out, with different finishes, people could match them to their homes. It would be really something so different from the usual black or silver bezels that are out there.
And it could be a specialty TV for a different channel of distribution. It could be home furnishings. It could
Right.
be a whole new market you can tap into.
That's a good
But I'm going
idea.
to send you a bill for my
Well, this is the same thing like if you go to Europe, you notice that the built-in
Built-in market is very big.
market is huge.
Huge.
Certain countries sell half of the
Yes.
refrigerators.
It's a completely different
built-in.
market.
TV could be something new also on that one. And we are a flexible company, we are chasing business. If this is something the consumers really want, not a big deal, we can develop it.
Well, it's not only what consumers want, it would just differentiate you in the market radically. Because nobody has even thought of doing that as far as I know, and from any of them. They're all these sleek, postmodern, silver
they
black.
look the same.
Right. They all look exactly the same. The only difference is the stands. Oh, we'll do a 4-leg stand. No, we'll do a flat stand. At IFA, Vestel had the same TV with 4 different stands, and they're trying to figure out which stand that they're going to use to differentiate the product in the marketplace. I'm going, really?
That's a tool, to build a brand. And in the meantime, when we get into the channel, we also provide a very good quality of appliances. That's the way consumers will much easier to adopt your appliances product compared with many other companies that they only have appliances. Taking Australia as an example, now the revenue is already half-half. Half TV, half appliances. But 5 years ago, we only have TV. The appliances was 0. But during those 5 years, gradually, we introduced 1 model, 10 models, 50 models. And that become a very healthy business for the long run.
Is there a timeline for you, at least in the U.S. or Canadian or Mexican or North American market, for appliances to start following in on the TV? Are you looking, is there a specific market share number that you want to hit, or brand recognition level that you want to hit on the TV side before you start really outside of Lowe's to bring appliances, to expand the appliances business?
U.S. is different, all depend on not only the product itself, also the distance. Shipping those big box, you are shipping a lot of errors. That's not cost effective. So plus appliances company are completely different from TV. That you don't see any American TV companies still exist anymore, right? But you do see a lot of giant appliances companies still there and doing well, right? I don't have to mention name. So it's a different game place. We, I think, will be focused on something. We have the strength or the volume, but we don't have a near-term plan to be a real big appliances company in the United States, unless something happens.
Such as buying a factory?
Could be, but I have to tell you, I don't have any plan like that. We want to be very strong in Europe, in Asia, because those are the shorter distance and a lot of systems and quality requirements are similar. So that's the area that we see the good growth potential. U.S. is a different story.
About manufacturing, do you have any other plans for the short term?
Well, you see, we have a big factory in Mexico, cross the border of San Diego, right? Yeah, this factory is huge. We have a lot of room to do. At this moment, we are expanding for TV. In the meantime, it could be a space for some key suppliers, and also can be another assembly plant for other products. It depends on the policy in Mexico. This is also related. If the government still want to attract some investment, also some local job for this, and
Has there been any change in the policy?
well, I'm not sure. I'm not so familiar with those things. But I would say this is something maybe politically involved. This election going on in U.S. and also Mexico has something different. We are waiting for the right time, right policy to do the right investment. We are not short of money, but we are a conservative company. We want to do the right investment. Just like the acquisition of Sharp factory, we did the right job.
We have just about 5 minutes left before we need to leave for lunch, which Dr. Lin is so kind as to join us.
Oh, great.
Oh yeah. Well, I try my best to answer your question. Okay.
So an easy one.
No.
You seem to have lots of faith in the laser TV.
Yeah.
Like right now, it's still like a higher end product.
No. It is selling very well.
No, but well, yes, but the one we were, yeah, but it's still like a higher price.
Oh, higher price. Oh,
Yeah.
13.
Yeah. Also depend on which one you are comparing with.
Yeah, no, but I mean that's but it's still lots of money for when do you see this going more mainstream price wise?
This is the one we started 7 years ago, and because I'm in charge of patent, right? For this product, we have more than 300 patents already, our own. And we also see this one is quite good already at this moment, but can be much better also in the future. How better can it be, not only on the spec, on the performance, but also on the pricing. So there's more role, right? I remember 10, 15 years ago, I bought a 40-inch TV Pioneer. It cost me like 10,000 US. Okay? Now it costs you maybe $290. So why? Because the volume is there, right? This one we are selling now mainly in China. 80-inch and above, we already got 40% market share because anybody who buy a TV 80-inch and above, 40% of people bought us with this one. But still, the volume is not big. We think when we have a smaller version, not 80-inch or even 65-inch can be introduced, the volume will be much bigger. And that will be the time also the price could be 30% down or even 60% down. That's really the one we will see some big things happen. So technology-wise, this is something you will see could be much easier or much simpler than the LCD TV or LED TV. Why? Because you have no panel, no backlights, no such thing. And also, this is one, I had one in my home. When I watch program, I feel like those colors is much natural. You don't feel like big reflecting light here and there. I think this is also another big advantage for the growing of this new technology. It's a matter of time. The price will be down. I can tell you, can be half of it now, but how quickly depend on the joint effort. Through us, through the chip supplier, also through the the lands or others. But I'm so confident about this is going to be a big thing in the TV market.
Yeah.
What's that? That?
Z-H-A-N-G.
I didn't catch that.
Z.
Z-H-A-N-G,
A-N-G.
and the first name is R-O-L-A-N-D, one L?
Two
Two L's.
Two L's.
When we first started this meeting, you asked us for our impressions, good and bad, and I have a not so good question to ask about.
Sure.
And you discussed this a little bit yesterday, but I was in the other room eating your cheese, so
Oh.
I didn't hear that. The cheese was very good. Cheese was very good. I thank you for that. But and what I don't understand is the fabrication part of it. The fact that was what surprised me also when I came in, that you do not have a a fabrication plant here in China. How can you be
You are talking about the panel,
the
right?
making glass?
Oh, yeah, that's the one.
How can you be a global television provider? How can you be number one in the largest population, most populated country in the world, and then go to the United States and not control your own destiny, to be reliant on other companies, that they will have what you need when you need it? I don't understand that.
Yeah, I can tell you, because we did a lot of study and we had a couple of times that doing that, you know. First of all, it is no more supply or oversupply situation. If you have oversupply, like if it's 20% oversupply, what this market, the global market need, then you are better off to be independent. Because if you have your own panel one, not only you add the additional oversupply situation, that probably you have to use quite a lot of your own panel, which we don't want to be the situation. Secondly, depending on how many independent panel factories still exist. If we have like 10 panel suppliers, seven of them has their own TV producing their own brand, right? You still have 3 left. They are independent. They are only provide the panels. Then you are in good shape. If you find most of the people they have their own TV brand, they have no, then you better have your own, because nobody really care about you when it's in shortage. But still, we have so many, you know, like in Taiwan, we have at least big one, right? AUO. In China, we have BOE. There are a couple of other guys that they have to use Hisense as one of their key suppliers, because we are the one really can push the volume out of it. So no one can really ignore Hisense as a key customer of them. The fact is, a lot of them try to grab us into their major portfolio to really become their big customers. That's the balance factor for any individual panel guys. So it's a trade-off, you know, situation that at this moment we believe it's a critical time that we don't know the next generation of technology still needs so many panels, you know, from each one of them. And also, a couple of them are not so competitive already on the marketplace. You don't know they can survive or not. That's another question. So this is a very complicated situation. However, I think during the last 5 years, we benefit more than, you know, got hurt more. You know, to be an independent TV company as this.
Plus, if laser becomes 50% of the TV business, like you're projecting at some point, perhaps, maybe.
Oh yeah, that's another thing.
Yeah.
You know, we cannot say too much about that because this is only our kind of forecast. It all depends on how good job we can do in the marketplace.
One last question.
In the U.S. at least, you're going to be at CES, so presumably you're going to still be looking for more retailers. Can you talk about what kind of retailers you're looking for and what you're looking for in those retailers that tie in to your overall brand strategy? And as a secondary question, just from a reputational point of view, where's your booth going to be at CES? Are you going to be somewhere in the central hall? Are you going to be right next to some, you know, Sony? I mean, positioning at CES is a big thing to promote your reputation to retailers who may not know who you are.
I answer you the first question first.
That's a good idea.
We were the first one. We took Microsoft spot, right? Mm-hmm. But you know, during the old time, CEA has their regulation that how long you have been there. No matter you are still a good brand or existing brand, doesn't matter. Your name, your year counted. But I think they made the reform. So we are going to be back to the first location. You know, the entrance of main hall. This is going to be hopefully our.
When you say entrance to main hall, LG is right there on the
Yeah,
right.
inside.
You know where Intel is?
Sure.
And where Microsoft used to be?
Uh-huh.
Where Microsoft used to be.
Okay.
Yeah, Qualcomm or all those big guys are.
So the same class. the same place as.
So
as
weren't
here.
weren't you there last
Across the
year?
hall
No,
from
we
last
were like move a little bit inside. Now we move back. You know.
We were
Who was
across.
the vendor that was right across from? There was a TV vendor right across from Intel last year.
That was Shang.
That was Shanghai. Right,
And-
right,
and
right.
that's-
But
Okay.
2 years
that's
ago,
our-
we were not there.
That's
that's
where
our
you're
spot.
going to be. Okay.
2 years ago, we were at that spot.
Right.
Last year, we moved across and next to Intel and across from Town Hall.
Right.
And now we're moving back.
Because
That's one. The second one.
that's where you were.
Wow. It's all about our channel strategy. Again, we want to work with, we call, top 10, for example. We want to be the best partner to work with. This is also a long-term strategy. We started in Australia, for example. We get into number 2 biggest retail chain and become 2 years later also a major brand in the 3rd largest chain. 5 years later, the biggest one called Harvey Norman finally said, "Hey, Hisense, come in. We need you," because we become so successful in those like Good Guy and what the name is, JB Hi-Fi. So gradually we get into all the top 10 channels. That's really become a good brand in Australia. Same thing happened in US eventually. But it's a different market also. I don't have to mention the name, but you can see which channel we're already in. But we want to be also not only in the major retail channels, also we will select some good regional channels to do with. That gives you more kind of info. How should I feedback from different customers at different level. That's a very clear strategy, and next year you will see, especially by carrying 2 brands, right, Hisense and Charla, and we need more channel space to grow with.
Great. Thanks, everybody. I think we're going to head to lunch.